What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, y'all, I just want to give y'all something to think about because, I kind of pondered this for a little bit. Now, we just saw Terrence Crawford, sending messages. He's been doing it since he's beaten, even before he beat Errol Spence. He was saying he wanted to fight against Jamel Charlo and then more recently against Canelo. Now, looking at not the performance, we all know what Jamel did. But looking at the size difference, now, him coming up from 154 to jump up to 168, he was discouraged once he got in there and started to feel the power. Now, let's just say Terrence Crawford has more heart than Jamel. And let's say he won't fold the way Jamel did. We don't know this for sure. But let's just say one thing I look at is this, okay? Once he get in there, we're talking about a 21 different, 21 pound difference in weight. We're talking about not going up, adjusting to 154, then going up, adjusting to 160, then going up, adjusting to 168. This takes time. We're talking about a straight jump to 168. Now, for Canelo to say he gets no credit if he beats Terrence Crawford. Now, I know there's people that's going to say Canelo is using that as an excuse because Terrence Crawford is a slick boxer and he has always had problems with slick boxers. But here's a situation where, let's just be honest about this, okay? Let's just think about this. And I'm not saying it's like inhumanly possible for Crawford to win, okay? But I am saying this. Skills do pay the bills. But do we know how Terrence Crawford's body would carry that 168 pounds? No, we don't know. Terrence Crawford doesn't even know. This is the thing that when it comes fight night, do you feel the weight difference? Are you affected by the weight? Certain situations like a Zhilei Zhang versus a Joe Joyce, I feel like the weight wouldn't bother Zhang because Zhang is faster than Joe Joyce and he's just better than Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce putting on size, right? He's already slow, hands and feet. That weight will just slow him down. It's not going to make him stronger. It's not going to make him punch any harder. And it didn't make his punch resistance any better. So I felt like the weight would hurt Joe Joyce, not help him. We see the results. Here's the case with Terrence Crawford is, okay, and also you got to understand, these are two big men that are naturally just big dudes, but stylistically for Joe Joyce, it wouldn't help him. Now for Crawford, would he be as fast at 168? Probably not. His mobility. We don't know that the effect it would have. I can't see the weight helping him where, okay, he's not like he's a devastating puncher. Canelo's not even a devastating puncher. He's not a one-punch guy. But guess what? He can after wearing you out. But Canelo hits considerably harder than Terrence Crawford does. So we don't know how the effect of the weight would be on Terrence Crawford. But I don't really think this is a smart fight. I don't even think this fight's necessary. It's just the fact that Crawford called Canelo out and everybody just clamored to that. Okay, and it's like, because he said it, it should happen. I don't want to see, and I'll say this before and I'm saying it again, I don't like to see when guys jump up in weight and just get a shot over the guys that's been deserving, that's been there all of this time. Now, that being said, right, even for Charlo to be undisputed at 154, it was out of the ring for a considerably long time and gets called and, called out, and his biggest payday ever. He comes back, jumps in there, and basically wasn't equipped to win this fight. Okay, just wasn't. Okay, wasn't equipped to win this fight. even if you think that Crawford is better than Charlo, even if you think so, I just don't think this is a smart fight for Crawford. I don't. And this is what I personally think. I personally think that skill for skill, Crawford is a solid fighter, but Crawford also is not a guy that's as mobile on his feet as he used to be. He's more of, he'll move, lateral movement. Does he have enough to really hurt Canelo and keep Canelo off of him to where he can box comfortably? Can he handle those shots from Canelo? And this is stuff we got to understand. He's never fought at 168. So just to assume that he can take those blows, just like to say he couldn't is an assumption. But what's more feasible to you? Personally, this is what I think. I think Terence Crawford is too small. I just don't think that he's big enough. And it's not like fight night, he's going to gain more weight and rehydrate up or whatever. No, if anything, he's probably going to weigh the same. Might even come in a little less than 168. For Canelo, he's going to be much bigger. And I believe you see the size difference between the two of them come fight night. And I just don't think that, he's really, it's not about being the hardest puncher. But we got to, keep things in its proper perspective. For him to come up 21 pounds and for the first time fight a guy that's been there for the majority of a long portion of his career now. And not only that, but this is where Canelo was most comfortable, and you see it. This is exactly why we know for a fact, okay, I say for a fact, Mauricio Suleiman's trying to shield him from Bivol because no, it's not just a size thing with Bivol. Bivol just he has the style. His style is just all wrong for Canelo. And I'm going to use this Russian shit in order as an excuse to keep this fight from happening. Bivol just beats Canelo. It's simple. But Crawford, and this is what people are going to understand, even though Bivol can box, that power was enough to make Canelo. You see, Canelo wasn't trying to walk Bivol down like he was trying to do Kovalev and everybody else because that shit wasn't working with Bivol. Bivol was too sharp, too slick. We can't assume just because Bivol doesn't have the popularity that Canelo has, or even the fact in the States as he's not a big star, and people try to overlook his victory and say, oh, he only won because he was too big. Well, if Canelo is to beat Crawford, what does he really gain? Because you just beat a guy that came up 21 pounds. Now, if he lost to Crawford, it would be like, yo, what the fuck? And then now Crawford is looking like Superman, right? So I'm not dismissing the fact that he won't be able to figure out a way, but to be perfectly honest, and if Crawford could move like he used to, it would be one thing. Because like I said, it's not all about just power. And Canelo's a different fighter. He's not the same as what he used to be. He's a different fighter. You can still be effective, but just not the same fighter that you was before. Look at Fury. Fury's not fleet of foot like he used to be. He doesn't move around, and he can't do that shit anymore. He can't do that anymore. So the style that he's been doing, now notice, he only fought, and this is the illusion, okay? He only fought Wilder that same way. He did it against Cunningham after he got dropped because he was embarrassed. He was pissed off. This little guy just dropped me. And he got up and started walking him down. But again, how much did Cunningham weigh? He's like 208 or something like that. So just saying, right? When he fought Dillian White, he didn't fight Dillian White the same way. He laid back. But Dillian's rating IQ is the equivalent of a fucking tomato. So he couldn't figure out shit. He just kept trying to do the same things. He couldn't figure out nothing, just coming in, pulling his knees up high, running in, holding his hands up, standing, do nothing, and then just get picked apart with a jab. Like Fury, it didn't even like a sparring match. It like Fury was playing with his son. Like, all right, no, keep your hand up. All right, I'm about to go to the left now. All right, there you go, good boy. Guard it. Okay, here comes a jab. Here comes a jab. That's what like he was doing. It was like, you could see Dillian White's punch is coming a mile away. So, that being said, the difference in this fight, I truly believe, would just be Crawford is not mobile enough to really evade Canelo's attack. And that at some point, he's going to get cracked. And I believe strongly that Canelo will be able to take Crawford's punches. I just don't think that it will be the other way around. I think eventually he's going to catch Crawford and get him out of there. People are telling themselves, it'll be like fighting Floyd. No, it won't be like fighting Floyd. Now, if you think Terrence Crawford is better than Floyd, and hey, you're entitled to your opinion. I personally don't. And you got to also understand, you do know that when Floyd came in fight night against Canelo, that he actually officially was under the weight limit. You do know that, right? So this was actually a fucking welterweight versus a junior middleweight. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's pretty much how it went. It's one of these things where Floyd didn't have to jump up. You understand what I'm saying? 21 pounds. That would be stupid. Remember, people kept saying, why don't Floyd fight Gennady Golovkin? And I'm like, the only thing that Golovkin might have is he might just be too big for Floyd. That about it. Skill for skill, nah, it's nothing. Floyd, on a pound for pound, a fight with Golovkin, he picked Golovkin apart. Golovkin was just too one-dimensional. He just had power. Floyd didn't give a fuck about power. And I said, damn, Floyd might be able to actually beat Golovkin, being under the weight limit. People was looking at Golovkin like, yo, but Golovkin's skill. People, his punching power. That's what they look at. His punching power. It's like, people, it's not all just about punching power. People don't understand that. Then they started saying, why don't Floyd fight Andre Ward? Yeah, him and Ward. And it's like, damn, Andre Ward at this point is fighting at 175 pounds. And y'all really want to see a motherfucker who came from 130 come all the way up to fight a motherfucker at 175 pounds? You understand what I mean? And people was really on that because they wanted to see Floyd lose so bad. They didn't give a fuck. If Floyd would have said he was going to fight Anthony Joshua, they'd have been like, yeah, they just want to see him lose that bad. That was ignorant, stupid talk. I felt like, what would Floyd have to prove by going up to 160? Well, Ray Leonard did it. He went up and... Yeah, but Ray Leonard is naturally a bigger guy than Floyd. And guess what? Ray Leonard actually fought at 160 before he fought... I forget the dude name he fought. It might have been Howard. Kevin Howard, I think it was. But whatever. He got dropped in that fight. And he said he didn't feel comfortable at 160. Now, he's naturally bigger than Floyd. Why would Floyd have to go to 160? No reason. And I said it back then. I just think that would be stupid. Like, for what? I mean, it's one thing to make history and you want to prove a point and all, but certain things you just don't need to do. Ray Leonard went up. Ray Robinson went up, fought at 175. Got hot. He couldn't take, they talk about, he was dehydrated and exhausted from the lights. Yeah, well, his opponent was under them same lights. What was the problem? Ray Robinson was undersized. And you know how they talk about how hard he punched, right? Well, his punches wasn't even phasing this guy. And he got exhausted because he only knew this one speed. He was a boxer puncher that he just tried to get you out of there. But where's the strategy? Where's the, okay, let me just touch him, move. No. Everything he threw was to try to knock this guy out. And it didn't work. And pretty much they had to stop the fight from exhaustion. The dude had to get carried back to his corner. Okay? So my point is, no different from Terrence Crawford. You're trying to go, let's like I'm saying, understand, listen, Canelo, there's fighters I'm sure he can knock out with one shot if he catch him clean. But Canelo's not considered a devastating puncher. He's a very hard puncher, okay? And I believe he can catch Crawford with one good one and pretty much have him to where he's on spaghetti legs and get him out of there. I strongly believe that. Okay. Well, my point is, everybody's getting so caught up. Just like when Inoue beat Fulton, then they started talking about Inoue fighting against Tank Davis. Then you saw, Inoue versus Terrence Crawford. It's like, come on, man. You guys, like, Don't get caught up into this stupidity. You see all these fake videos now? Terrence Crawford and Floyd going back and forth. Floyd yelling, send the contract, I'll fuck you up, and all this fake shit. And there's no Terrence Crawford versus Mayweather in the works. This is all bullshit. And I think that people are just overreacting to this situation. Like, they're not looking at the facts. There is really nothing other than just another big payday. You know, for Crawford and for Canelo, if this fight was to happen, but this would be a very stupid fight. You understand what I mean? And when people don't understand, with Canelo, y'all keep saying, yeah, well, he came from 154. Yes, but he went to 160 first. And he's had a couple of fights at 160. He was confident, and he went from 160 to 168. He didn't just jump from 154 to 168. He stayed at 168. He went up and tested the waters at 175 against Kovalev. Came back and tried to do it again against Bivol, and it didn't work. You understand? So my point is, there'll be certain fighters at certain weight classes that you could beat because they're just not good enough to beat you. They're not that good. But then you can have someone just too strong for you. You understand what I mean? And you might find yourself exhausted because I'm trying to get this big dude out and I can't. It's what I'm telling you. This, to me, is a stupid fight. People are looking at the fact, two-time, undisputed champion, and he's pound for pound one of the best. They say that, Canelo, Crawford is the pound for pound best. And listen, I don't think that this is a fight that needs to happen. I really don't. I mean, if Canelo was to change his mind and fight him, okay, but do you really want to see him fight Crawford instead of Benavidez or Demetrius Andre, depending on who wins? You understand? Would you rather not see him fight Crawford over David Morrell? And even for Jamal Charlo, he's talking about revenge and he's going to do this and this. I feel like he should be going after Caleb Plant first, if anything. Now, if he actually wants to fight Caleb and he beats Caleb, and even depending on how good he even looks against Caleb. Now you want to go up 8 pounds and fight Canelo? Fine. But I still want to see Canelo fight those 3 guys I just said. Or at least 2 of the 3, because whoever wins between Andre and Benavidez, I think that's who Canelo should actually fight next. And then David Morrell is there. Why not clean out your division? Right? Franchise championship, what is he going to do? Is he going to go down to 160? No. Is he going to go up to 175 again? And fight who? Because we know who have the belts. All right? And they just happen to be Russian. So is he going to fight? Is he going to go to cruiserweight? So clean up your division. Now, you beat Benavidez, you beat Morrell. Then Charlo still feel like he want to get in there. Then fight Jamal Charlo then. But at the same time, it's like, guys just jumping over other guys. I'm not cool with that. But this is a 21-pound, disadvantage for Crawford, man. One thing that you got to understand, Jamal Charlo hits considerably harder than Crawford does. His punches had no effect on Canelo. And yeah, but his punch placement, yeah, we get all of that. Terrence Crawford is a thinking fighter. He covers up, keeps the high guard, moves his body, and then he shoots his shot. He catches you slipping. Canelo's not going to make those same mistakes that Errol Spencer's making, man. He's not going to be as irresponsible on defense as Spence has been and known to be. He's not going to do it that way. It's a different fight. Let's not play these games. So I don't care who you like, who you think would win. I'm looking at what's realistic in this fight. Now you never know what will happen until the fight happens. But this is a fight, I never was crazy about it. But honestly, and I'll say this because I don't care about, being wrong, but I don't think I am. I'd have to be proven wrong to really, and I'm not here to debate what anybody else feel. I think Canelo destroys Terrence Crawford. I just think he's too small. And punching power isn't everything. But when you are the type of fighter that needs time to think, see, I know people are sitting back there. I even heard Shane Wohley talk about, Terrence Crawford beats Money Mayweather but loses to Pretty Boy and all. You already know how Shane feel about Floyd. You already know all these guys that Floyd didn't whoop their ass. They feel some kind of way and they want to say anybody can beat Floyd. But Terrence Crawford is no Floyd Mayweather, man. No different from Jermell Charlo becoming undisputed. Went up and fought the same guy Floyd fought and couldn't even compete with him. Yeah, but Canelo's better now. This is not. And listen, Canelo's not better than he was then. And this Canelo is not even the same Canelo that fought the Triple G the first 2 times, which most people feel like he lost. But this is not even the same Canelo. This is a Canelo with 60 plus fights, more wear and tear on his body that was still great enough to go in there and shut down a guy, scare him enough to make him not even want to fight him. That's what you got. And I just personally don't think, and you got to remember, how old is Terrence Crawford? 35, 36? So he doesn't have half as many fights as Canelo does. He's not even at the halfway mark yet. You know, and people, but it might be like Canelo versus Chavez. No, again, we're talking about guys who wasn't too far off in weight. You understand? Where it wasn't no huge like difference. Come fight night, like I said again, Canelo is much bigger than Crawford. And yeah, what does Canelo really have to gain out of this? Now, the fanboys were, yeah, he beat Crawford and Crawford was considered the best, so that makes Canelo the best. When you say pound for pound, okay, if you got Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard fighting in the same era of time, do you think if they had Ray Leonard pound for pound over Ali, that it means that he at 147 could actually go in the ring and beat Muhammad Ali? Pound for pound. Let's not get over our heads with this shit and thinking stupidly. Okay? I just think for Terrence Crawford, 154 is probably his limit. To be honest with you. I think he's just too small for Canelo. And like I said, even if he's holding up, just like Kell Brook was out boxing, Gennady Golovkin, and he was looking good in there. And then once them power shots started landing, it was just a matter of time. And you see, what ends up happening ultimately is this. When you get in there with a puncher and you lose that mobility, you can't move like you used to, it becomes more difficult. And the reason it becomes more difficult is because your elusiveness wasn't just the feints and the jabbing and movement, it was your legs. You understand what I mean? And if you watch Crawford, he doesn't use his legs like he used to. So when Terrence Crawford is standing there trying to outbox Canelo and Canelo's coming in with them power shots, he's going to commit. And that's the thing. The reason why Jermell Charlo didn't go to sleep earlier, it didn't go to sleep, period, took a knee, he was scared, man. And let's say he wouldn't have got knocked out. Let's just say he got severely beaten. It would have been why? Because he's committing. And he wasn't confident. So like I said, Crawford may go in there with a completely different confidence than Jermell Charlo. Maybe he has just more heart than Jermell Charlo, but I just don't think that he can. I don't think he can outgun Canelo. I just don't think he can outgun him. And so don't misunderstand what I'm saying. That's why I'm emphasizing, yes, skills pay the bills. You don't have to be the hardest puncher, but you got to understand Crawford's style to me. Maybe y'all see him different. That's fine. But to me, watching his style, I don't think he has enough to beat Canelo. Now, if they were fighting at a weight where Canelo's not going to dehydrate up so much and it was more of a, okay, then yeah. Then that could be the big difference between the two, maybe. And I'm still not saying for sure. Because, people make up in their mind that one guy is just as good as another guy. Look, let me give you an example of something. Let's say that this fight with Jermell Charlo never happened. Most people still would think Canelo would win. But again, they would still think it would be a competitive fight until Canelo just starts pulling away from him and starts to bang him and blam down and finally get him out of there, late stoppage. But we got the fight, and it was nothing like the way people imagined it. And there's many fights. I mean, people thought that Ryan Garcia, had a strong chance of knocking out Tank Davis, and that this was going to be a super fight. People, same thing that they said about Crawford and Spence, they said about Ryan and Tank, that this is going to be Ray Leonard versus Hearns. They keep using these two as an example because one is shorter or taller or whatever the fuck, or stylistically. Did it look anything like Hearns and Ray Leonard? You understand what I mean? So it's very easy to sit up and say that, oh, this Terrence Crawford is as good as Floyd. Nah, not Floyd, not Money Mayweather or Pretty Boy Floyd. And I'm going to tell you something. I like Crawford as a fighter. And I study both of them way too much. And I always go with my hunches. And when me watching them, it's like, nah, Floyd was way better than Crawford, man. Crawford is solid, man, but come on. Like I keep telling you, like you got these guys right now. You got guys who never even won a championship. They compare them to Jordan because the guy can jump high or can do some fancy shit, but they can't win championships. And even when they do win championships, none of these teams are able to three-peat twice. And when they do, talk about that. Yeah, but what? No. Watch the NBA now versus back then. Jordan's era was much tougher, much harder. They keep making these bullshit excuses. And see, it's easy when you wasn't a part of something to say things, but it's a difference when you watch something. I don't watch anything as a fan. I watch it to observe and study. Otherwise, people that watch this shit as a fan, they get caught up into the fanboyism. They don't look at the reality. They look at what they want to see. You know, it's just like example, you read a scripture in the Bible saying, slaves, obey your earthly master with fear and sincerity of heart as you would Christ. For a obedient slave is a good slave. And somebody try to tell you, oh, but you're misinterpreting what it says. Oh, so it's good to own people. It's okay to have people as slaves. That's not considered a sin. A righteous God would actually ordain this, that it's okay to own people. The same people that was owning these slaves were doing a bunch of cruel, foul shit just by owning slaves, but these people were doing all types of shit, going to brothels. They were womanizers. They were rotten people. You can't be a good person and own people. So all this stuff about owning people and rules and regulations to owning people. My point is, when people say the Bible's been tampered with, and you ask them, well, how do you pick and choose what was tampered with, right? But when you see something like that, they don't think that was tampered with. They think that's just the way God wanted it to be. Also, God's okay with people being slaves. Right? Just saying. You're misinterpreting something that you read directly. Right? So basically, if you're reading directions and your GPS tell you, go straight, make 2 lefts, 2 rights, you're there. You're just going to go make all lefts and then say that the GPS is wrong because you're not following what the GPS is telling you to do. GPSs can be faulty, but y'all know what I'm saying. So yeah, I personally just don't really feel like this is a fight that needs to happen. And I think that Crawford, even just to talk, if the fight don't happen, just to get more hype around his name, keep people talking about him, I think he needs to just go and fight Jaron Ennis. He's fighting Errol Spence in a rematch. Fight Jaron Ennis after that. Stay the fuck away from Canelo. You have nothing to prove. You have nothing. You have a lot to gain if you was to pull it off. I just don't think he would. I truthfully think that Canelo beats him, and I think he stops him. Not enough power, man. Not enough power. The punch resistance, everything that he needs. It's not just Canelo's power. This is what I'm saying. But for Terrence Crawford, I just don't think he has enough. And he doesn't move like he used to. He can't move like he used to. He's going to find himself standing more stationary. And I just think Canelo blows is just too much for him. And I think that even his counter shots. See, the thing you got to understand about Canelo when he throws his punches, it's not like Canelo's slow. Canelo is quick. He's not slow. He's not slow. Like I told you, he's never been good at cutting off a ring. Charlo just kept going back to the fucking ropes. And that's a sure sign of fear. And then you see when he spin out, circle out, he would circle out, but jab, throw that little weak ass left hook. He wasn't even sure about himself. So like I said, even for Crawford to have the confidence that he needs, I just think his mobility is different, man. And that right now, I just don't think he beats Canelo. And I don't feel like Canelo is better than what he was. I just feel like his stylistically right now, you can't dance, you can't move, you can't do the things you used to And if you watch him, that's what he used to do. They're both not the same as they used to be, but I just don't think that Crawford beats Canelo right now. And I think age-wise, he's not going to. Neither one of them will get younger. And I just don't see him. Like when I look at his style, look at what he's doing. Crawford is a solid fighter. Canelo's a solid fighter, but I really just don't see Crawford beating Canelo. I don't. I don't. And then here's the thing. He fights and loses. Don't you know that's the first thing everybody gonna say? Oh, Crawford was too small, big deal. Okay, Crawford knew he was too small when he took the fight, right? So what's the purpose of even bringing that up? You know, just like Beevil. Canelo knew he was small, but see, here's the difference. Beevil was a cherry pick that went wrong. Beevil wasn't supposed to win. People actually think Crawford can actually win the fight. I'm not saying it's impossible because we're all just human beings. Shit can happen. But all things, all systems go. Canelo's running all cylinders. Crawford's on all cylinders. No injuries. They're both 100% or both bottom line. I think Canelo stops him. I just think Canelo stops him. I really honestly don't realistically see him with his style, what he has, beating, Canelo. I just don't. You got to understand that weight will become a factor. That punching power will become a factor against a guy that just doesn't have enough to keep him off and doesn't have that mobility to get away from the shots he needs to. You got to understand that. He doesn't have that. That's why I say I don't care what Shane or anybody says. You watch fights on your own. Now, because you don't like Floyd and you like Crawford and you like Shane Mosley or these fighters that's talking shit about Floyd and you believe what they say. No, use your own two eyes. Let's not forget, Shane Mosley, the same guy that jumped in the ring and challenged Floyd and said he's going to be too much man for Floyd. Floyd is not going to be able to handle this, and whatever. And then they got in there. He had 2 good moments, 2 good rounds, and then got his ass kicked the whole rest of the fight. And then made excuses after the fight about, I don't know, I just couldn't move. I don't know if it's him pushing down on my neck or whatever, but I just couldn't move. Then he turned around and said it was a groin injury some year later and all this whatever. Okay, so he spoke extremely confident in himself that he was going to beat Floyd. So the same guy telling you what Crawford could do, now it's Crawford's better than Floyd because Shane Mosley says so. Doesn't make a difference. People can talk all the shit they want, but you know what? And not trying to be funny, look at Crawford's age. By this time, when Floyd was this age that Crawford is now, Floyd already did all he needed to do and basically was setting up his exit strategy, understanding what he was doing. We need these spectacles. I want $200, $300 million. That's what he was doing. Crawford's popularity is nowhere near what Floyd's was. And nobody's going to be paying you this kind of money because you can't fight or you're not as good as people say you are. So, bottom line is, Floyd Mayweather did what he did, and you watch him when he fought against Canelo, and watch how swift his sharpness, everything about this dude just was like so on point, even at that age. Terrence Crawford is not the same fighter as Floyd is. This is not going to be Floyd versus Canelo 2. This would not be, Pernell Whitaker versus Chavez 2. This would be Crawford versus Canelo, and people overlooking major key points and facts about the difference of even, the weight being off. Again, if they were fighting and the weight wasn't a factor and they was like equals in weight, yeah, Crawford got a much better chance of winning that. Much better chance of winning that. But as far as him coming up 21 pounds and like I said, again, you never seen him fight at that weight. And if it affected Jermell Charlo, who is actually at 154, and he's coming up from less weight than what Crawford is coming up from. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just a different fight. But overall, y'all, I just don't think this is a fight that needs to happen. I think Canelo owed that to the fans to fight Benavidez. Or Andre, whoever wins. And then if he beats them, fight David Morrell. He beats them, okay, then it's whatever. Who's willing to come? Who at 168 that is worthy to fight a champion, and just take it from there. And like I said, if Jamal Charlo is winning his fight, so if whatever he's gonna fight again, but like I said, I think he needs to fight Plant first, truthfully. But after that, it is what it is. But here's a guy, people. That's what I don't think nobody's paying attention to that. This is 21 pounds. This is 21 pounds. No need for you to go out 21 pounds, get knocked the fuck out just to say I did to be great. Get that big check, you know, but what if he gets in there with Canelo and then freezes up the same way Jamel did? Because now all of a sudden it's like, damn, I ain't know this motherfucker punched this hard. Okay, hold up. And now he's not comfortable trying to really land anything, because when he does land anything, it's not even phasing Canelo. Just saying, y'all. I'm looking at this shit realistically. I'm not looking at this. Yeah, it's what ifs. There's what if factors in this, yeah. But I'm not looking at this shit with the crossing the fingers, hoping Crawford could pull off the miracle. No, I'm looking at this shit just thinking, look at what we're talking about, man. Like, look at what we're talking about. Now, if this fight did happen, do I expect him to go in there and fight his ass off and go out on his shield if he's going to go? You absolutely, yeah. He's supposed to go in there and fight, not go in there and climb up and say, oh, well, fuck it. I'm just going to hold and run, and I'm going to collect this check. But do we really need to see a guy come up 21 fucking pounds just to fight a guy when you already got challenges there that's been waiting for years, and Canelo just hasn't fought these guys? I don't see the point. I'm really not into the Canelo versus Crawford fight. Talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.